Tuesday, April 14th. Budget meeting for Harrison County Water Station. At this time, we'll stand for pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. So we have question evening this evening. We're going to turn it over to Judge Sutton.
Sure, I believe we've got handouts there from guys.
Yep.
And she will go through her handouts, and I will tell you, I had an opportunity to speak with the Retired Teachers Association today, and the whole topic was finance. They were asking questions about, because they're seeing counties all around them, Rick is weighing off, so they were asking a lot of questions, so that really just like a whole conversation we went to.
It's a big conversation.
Yeah. Last year I was there at the same time and we were getting ready to bring for folks on our pension.
That's
Somebody put the ice cream. No. Just got my instructions from Mr. Craig.
Good evening. This has been a very difficult budget season from everything from not being able to get information from the federal department nor the state department. We just got the state aid comps after close of business on Friday. So that's what I've been doing the last 2 years is getting this balanced. And then some of the departments as well have not been real good about giving me data and information I needed when requested. So anyways, the first thing I want to talk about is state aid. So these are the revised state aids and the final preliminaries. It's your number 1. It's circled at the top. With getting the state aid comps, not till Friday evening, after closing business, there was no way to get everything done for you that I normally have done. You'll have that on your April 27th.
Yep, the 21st.
The 21st, yes, the 21st. Yes, the 21st. So we'll just go through it real quick. We've got the personnel pieces and down to the bottom. So we have a total state aid of $75,624,000. Now, of that includes for the charter schools and the Norfolk County Vocational School. And then we have to subtract off our local share, which is part of the general fund taxes, about 85%. The general fund taxes, not the excess levy, the general fund taxes that we talked about today. So the total basic state aid is $51.2 million. Of that, Norfolk County Vocational School gets $1.5 million plus $6,200. The public charter schools gets $2,235,971 of that, and then we get the remaining. EIA allocations, you'll see that those are down. That are charter schools. Our state aid is down about $1 million, but that's hidden because of the increases that I gave staff raises. So we're getting the payments for the staff raises and all their benefits based upon the number of positions that are state aid eligible. We have to absorb the rest of this. So PEIA is down a little bit even though the rates are going up. Retirement allocations are also down. That's because our staffing is down. And then the unfunded retirement allocation, that's the estimate of $9.4 million. And that's where they're paying into the retirement piece of that for us on behalf of us. And then the alternative education estimated $150,000. And then of course you have the comparative there for the last 3 previous years. Your next sheet is just the revenue sources, just to show you where we get the majority of our money. So we get property taxes are 33% of our total budget. The state sources being 41%, federal being 7%, local sources are 1%, transfers in are 3%, and the estimated beginning fund balance is 15%. That's a little heavy. The operating expenditures, I decided to put it into three major big buckets. Personnel, consumable supplies and operating costs. That's everything from textbooks to instructional materials to utilities, and then purchase services are 7%. And that includes the payments to public charter schools, out-of-state placements, engineering fees, repairs and maintenance that we contract. I didn't know if you liked graphs better than numbers. The last page in that packet shows you that the total budget is $188,427,241. With the estimated beginning fund balances of 27.6. In order to get the budget balanced, I had to take a hard look at some of our individual projects that we have and budget some of those beginning fund balances to cover what I estimate those to be, so I can cover the expenses for the upcoming year. Personnel costs are $129.8 million. That includes all of our contracted salaries, all of our benefits, all of the academic stipends, all the coaching stipends, all the other stipends that we pay, substitute cost, health insurance, extra pay, and overtime pay. Operating expenditures do not include reserve for contingencies, construction or capital outlays, transfers to other funds for debt service payments. The operating costs are $154.7, other expenditures are $33.7. Estimated any fund balance will be $0. Assuming we have to budget at least 5% of our revenues to set aside as a contingency in case of emergency. If we don't have to touch that contingency, we may be able to have an unrestricted carryover general fund balance of $5.4 million after 2027.
What do you mean 5 years?
We have different, you have restricted fund balances, which are your federal grants, and then we have some local restricted fund balances, which are all of our, like our tax program. Those are restricted funds. We can only use them for specific purposes. Then you have your committed funds, which things that we've actually committed for. So think about our purchase orders that we've issued, those things. We have some we have committed our prepaid inventories. We have prepaid inventory, we have prepaid workers' comp, prepaid insurance. Those are different section. We have our assigned fund balances, which are things that we have set aside money for, that has not actually been a formal commitment. It's just set aside. And then we have our unrestricted. And everything that we do is actually based off of that unrestricted fund balance. That's what we have available for whatever we want to spend it for. That's the one that they look at to make sure that we have 3 to 5%. And they prefer us to have 2 months operating, which is 16.7%, which we were able to do for 24 and 25. Not sure we'll be there for 26. And that's important because if there was a delay in any funding revenue, several years ago, there was a crisis at the state level. It was over a decade ago, it might have been almost 2 decades ago, where they didn't have enough money, so we had to actually cut. We didn't have stated money come in for a few months, and that helps with this kind of things. If we don't have that, we may not be able to.
On that unrestricted money, could be, maybe golf course, fixing air conditioning, maybe.
There's a budget for that already.
Where you like
Yeah, budgets. The next piece, because we're really concerned about that general fund, is the revenues for the general fund. And you will see there that state sources are 58% of that general fund money, and the property taxes are 24%. Local sources are 1%, federal sources are 1%. Transfers in are 2%, and the estimated beginning fund balance is 14%. Our operating cost, personnel, in the general fund of the operating cost, or 87%. Purchase services are 6%, consumable supplies and operating costs are 7%.
Yeah.
When we move to the excess levy, that next sheet, personnel is currently budgeted at 57%. The amount that is fully allocated to schools for expenditure are 6%. We actually do $2.3 million out to schools, because they get to determine how they're spending their money. Instructional materials and supplies are 8% of the total, but part of that is allocated out to the schools. And then the same with the technology money. Part of that is allocated out to the schools as well. Child nutrition is 2%, facilities and safety is 20%. So you see, by far, personnel is our biggest piece. The excess levy, when we did that call in 2024, a lot of things happened. So we had to use the assessed property values in 2024 at that point in time. Well, that was before the law change, for the oil and gas assessments. So the levy call was to provide $34.9 million, and personnel was to be 62% of that revenue. The actual levy in 2027 is $31.1 million. Therefore, the personnel piece is only 57%, not the 62%. We do not have all the funds available, because we did not receive all the levy. The next piece I want to get to is your salary and supplement payroll information. The first thing you'll see in that packet is the draft of the payroll dates. You'll see that there is a black line. Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. I'm not going too far yet. The next page is the professional annual salary schedule. And this does include the raise, the pay raise the state provided. Remember, this is based on a 200-day contract. So anybody that has an extended contract makes this plus additional money for the additional days. So this is based on the 200-day contract. All of our salaries, except for the superintendent's, starts with this base rate. The service also has the pay raise increase in there. And we do already automatically include the high school diploma in these rates. So if we have someone who's hired without a high school diploma, we would actually have to reduce it by $12 a month per pay. The administrative pay schedule, there's very few changes on this. The only thing I'm requesting is not to add anything really, but there are 3 certifications that actually would work for the finance office. Certified public accountant, everybody knows what they do, right? Except for you're actually in taxes and all those other pieces. There's a certified public finance officer, which is also a national certification, and it's through the Government Finance Officers Association. And then there's the school finance officer, which is through the Association of School Business Officials. And what I'm recommending is that we don't know who's coming in, but to have that same money supplement available to those if they have any one of those, but only one certification could be paid for the category. Like, I have 2 of those national certifications, but if this was in effect, I would still only pay for the non-2, 1. That's why I have only 1 there, and I have 4 or 4. Are there any questions with that? Just trying to make it available for the next people coming in. The next one is professional accounting supplement. And this is where we start getting into some changes. The medical allotment supplement, if you go to the back of the document, the very back page, back 3 pages, it has the news article dated January 27th of 2026 about Hancock County. It says, West Virginia School District illegally gave employees bonuses while millions over budget. When you scroll down through that, the piece is, the issue is not the amount of money that was paid to employees, but instead the way it was paid that makes it the violation of state law. Lump sum payments made twice a year, or in our case, once a year, are a violation of West Virginia wage and labor law. So when you look at the second page of that news article, it talks about the local share there. It talks about how it is locally funded, but it still needs to be part of a salary scale. So, that's why there's a black straight on the payroll table, payday table. Because by moving it to become compliant with law, we would add the ZMed addenda on everybody, every fully contracted employee that's eligible for the medical allotment, and it will be spread out over all of their paychecks, whether they get 20 or 24. I believe the original intent was to provide supplemental pay for full-time personnel for medical costs. So the amount is really $10 a day up to a maximum of $2,000 annually. They still get the $2,000, it's just going to be spread over the course of the year.
How do they just now figure that out? So we've been doing that for these guys.
It has been in place for, there's actually a notation, and I'll just read it for everybody. The medical allotment began being paid December 5th of 1997 as a lump sum payment paid once a year with funds from the excess levy. It is believed to have been for the purpose of assisting regular contracted employees with their medical costs. Over the 28 years since its beginning, the amounts and dates of payment have changed, but the one thing that remained was that it was a one-time payment. The Hancock County crisis has brought to light that the practice of paying funds once a year is in violation of West Virginia Department of Labor laws. When comparing information included in that article with Harrison County's medical allotment, there appears to be no real difference other than Harrison County paid out once a year instead of twice. In order to move Harrison County schools into compliance with state laws, the current level of $2,000 medical allotment will be spread over all employees' regular paychecks issued on the 15th and 30th of each month. There will no longer be a separate payroll check issued for the medical allotment as there have been for 28 years. Due to the timing of these one-time payments, employees may have grown accustomed to using this allocation to purchase Christmas presents. This option will no longer be available, and employees may need to take a different approach on how they plan to pay for Christmas. One such option that has always been available is to have the funds directly deposited into Christmas funds for savings accounts.
Okay. So it's actually a violation.
At West Virginia Department of Labor laws, yes.
Can we get that in writing, please?
Sure.
Just to have it. Because I'm pretty sure we're probably going to get, there's going to be some backlash. You have to go back to the old.
There is, I was looking to see if it was actually referenced in here. I can get it.
Thank you.
The other thing is, in red there, is special education. And you see another blacked out area, which is the speech therapy supplement of $500. That changes special education teacher, including speech therapist. Special education teachers will be getting $20 a calendar month, $200 a year. Speech therapists will be getting that $200 as well. However, speech therapists will also be getting $500 a year on top of that. So the recommendation is that we move this to $700 a year for both of them categories. The question there is why? And that goes back to the agreement's decision in 2020, where it was determined that speech-language pathologists are in fact special education teachers, and therefore they get the 3-step bump. When you have the same classification of employees, you cannot treat them differently. So we need to get this corrected to where all special education teachers, including SLPs, are going to get $700 a year. Not taking anything away from anybody, but it would be the increase for all the other special education teachers.
What's the increase there? What's the increase total?
I've got it built into the system. It's $500. I'm not sure how many special ed teachers we have. Just trying to clean us all up so that we're good. We were hoping to be able to increase the national board certifications, but under our light, there are no other increases done on anything on the salaries. On the service personnel county supplement, you see the exact same thing for the medical allotment. And then we have on the abolishment of the paraprofessionals, so that supplement is being removed. The next one, we're under extracurricular contract pay schedule, is the removal, the only change there is the removal of the pay for the high school athletic director, because that's also being recommended for abolishment. And this whole budget has been based on the fact that all the recommendations are upheld. This is the only way we can do it. Extracurricular contract pay schedule continued, there's no changes. That is the payroll section. Is there any other questions or discussions?
Yes, what was that about the athletic director there again?
It is on the information that was provided at a board meeting on April 17th. It was on there to abolish an athletic director for the high school position. Ms. Leesburg might be having.
For all the high schools?
Do we only have one?
We just have only one. He's currently, will be on the 21st agenda, the transfer for your vote. And then that'll be your vote. So then one of the principals will take that over.
Which is what they do in every other high school.
It has two assistants. Yes.
So it's all the pieces on salaries. And they're the bulk of our money. I worked with Mr. Cossack on the facilities budget. We went back. So the whole process was January 8th, we sent out the budget templates request for all the departments to complete. And then they were due in by February 28th. So they had 7 weeks to get those in. So they worked real hard on them, and everybody met the deadline. I was really proud of them. They did a really good job on it. And as they came in, we looked at them and asked some questions. And then after the, so had it ready to roll almost, sort of. And then after the spending freeze, we went back through and reevaluated some of the requests to change them. The only equipment that is budgeted in the 27 budget are for buses, and it is the amount equal to the state aid. So the state aid is for buses is $867,851. That's the amount that is budgeted for buses. It's important that we maintain our fleet. And while we're talking about that, I am so glad that they did not get any of those electric buses, because I guess the federal government has come in and said that
Taking them off the road.
I've taken them off the road.
They're not safe.
Yep.
Mon County Park Board with them.
Yep. So you can see that we're maintaining our fleet well, because that bus replacement cost is always 1/12 of our current fleet value. So that shows that we've been maintaining our fleet. Now, had we actually gotten electric buses, that would have been a lot higher, because they're about 3 times the price. So we would have gotten some extra money. So it'll be interesting to know what they do to Mon County if they had to park them. Are they now part of their fleet for the calculations for the buses? So there's no more additional questions for me. The state did approve our property tax rates. So those are all good to go. So that we'll have on the April 21st meeting, we will have the laying of the levy, and it's just part of the regular meeting. So you guys will have to say this is the continuation of the March 17th meeting, and then we'll say that that is closed. I'll have these words in there for you. And then lay the levy, and then the 24th, we'll have published the budget. As I said, I'll have the rest of the book for you and stuff. And so you can see what's actually going to be published, because it has to be broken down into categories of instruction, student support, staff support, central administration, general administration, operation maintenance, all of those, and we'll get there.
What's the deadline to submit to the state?
May 30th. So our budget hearing is scheduled for May 5th right now. So in order to meet the May 5th hearing date, it has to be published 10 calendar days ahead of time. So that would be April 24th.
May 30th?
May 30th is the due date to the state.
10
But
days, it has to be posted.
No, but we have to have a budget hearing on it.
Right, no. Yeah.
And then we have a budget hearing on May 5th, and then on May 19th, it'll be for approval adoption. And so then once you get approved and adopted, then I can submit it well before May 30th.
So I misheard them, I thought you said the 24th.
April 24th is the publication
Oh, okay.
of the budget. Then the hearing notification. Mr. Coffey, you want to talk about your facility projects?
Yeah, I can briefly,
You want to come over here so you're making.
we sent a form out to all those high school, or all those school principals to fill out on their facility projects that they may want to request. And that filled up pretty quickly. We were pretty happy with what we saw. But there were some things there that we figured were just maintenance items that we would take care of them through the maintenance side of things. And there were, quite frankly, when I got this list and the spending freeze came out, I'll be honest with you, I told Chad, Todd and I were looking over this, and I said, we need to cut this down to absolutely just what we need. And I was able to reduce this spreadsheet down to about $325,000. In all actuality, a lot of it's deferred maintenance. You can put deferred maintenance off another year, but you're actually digging yourself in a big hole. And we don't want to do that. Well, I got a call from Whitney and said, you need to come to my office. We need to talk about this. And I thought, oh, geez, she's going to ask me to cut it further. And I told a couple other people that Chad and my secretary, if I need to cut it further, we can cut a lot more, because we really don't need this, but it is nice to move forward. So I get to her office and she said, Jamie, you got to spend a little bit more money. So we were able to go back and re-review this. I reviewed this several times with Chad Todd, our maintenance director. We did change some of the cost estimates that the principals put in there, because they didn't really know what to put in there as far as the cost estimate. And we finally completed this draft copy with $1,282,490. That's where we ended up.
This is due.
Yes. Several of these things may have to be bid out because of the cost, as you know.
It's all money that's earmarked
Anyway,
Yes.
okay.
That's why it's important to do continue to keep up with the deferred maintenance, because the only thing you can do is cause a problem or cost more.
Right.
Now, how the excess levy, each, like the high schools are given, 60,000 or 65?
No, sir, we increased that this year. 10,000 of it in high school goes to the swimming pools, and then the rest of it now allocate to the swimming fund. And there's two of them, highway and orange. They had put excess of the athletic funds. And so
And those will be taken care of through the levy money.
Through that special excess levy fund.
What if they have a balance in their funds right now?
Just stay with them.
So
Just
that,
keep rolling.
so in other words, they keep that, plus they add,
Yes,
Correct.
yes.
Keep rolling.
It'll get spent eventually.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, a good example of that is Lincoln High School with their football field. I mean, David Decker's been kind of rolling money over for a couple of years now because he knows improvements are needed. So he's getting very close to having the money to be able to do that.
The only administrators that apply, what do you think?
Yes, I gave everybody the equal opportunity and even extended it by another couple of weeks to make sure we had everything. Now, there were some things that were repetitive, like when the principal from West Milford resigned, Danielle, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, and she resigned. She'd already done some of this stuff. And then Jasmine took over and she put the same things in here. So we did remove some of those duplicate lines.
There's a few things to
Yeah, it was like a 5-year plan. They did move some things out further, 20, 28, 29, and those aren't on this list.
memory serves me right, there were some of these things that they had scheduled for 28. So,
Pretty much they're all needed.
and this is like, there's one new lockers, says district funded, that mean that comes, where does that money come from?
that is coming from, what is it? Person Walker. There was more detail about what actually had been done in there, and that's some like repairs and stuff in the locker room. Like in the flooring or something like that.
He's talking about the, looks like South Harrison High School there.
Yeah,
Lockers,
Yeah.
new,
this is 100,000.
replace lockers.
District,
Those are their actual school lockers. Yes, that comes from that is not it's not their athletic room, it's actually the school lockers. in the buildings.
yeah. They, you know, because we all done this administration, there's a wish list, you know. I wish I'd got some of them on wish list. But, so who makes the final determination? I mean, I can go in and say, this is bad, and that's bad, we need to replace this and that. Who actually is going to make the final call on that?
Well, this final call was made by me and Chad Todd, who's our maintenance director,
So in other words, anything on this you agree to?
based on the priority that we felt needed to be done of all the requests that we received
And the money that was available.
and money at that point. I mean, we had one request to replace floors at a said school that were just replaced like 2 years ago, ceramic tile. They don't need replaced. The school just doesn't like the color. Well, that's not going to happen. We had another situation with Simpson Elementary with the new addition that we put on. We had lockers in those 2 additional classrooms, which was part of the design. And then when it was over, they requested that the lockers be removed and put out in the hallways as regular lockers. Well, you're just throwing good money after bad, or bad money after good, no matter which way you want to put it. So we said we've got other priorities besides that.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of that stuff has SBA approved. So when we're building that and we're putting things in, it's not as simple as just, since that has just been done. Maybe years down the road.
Yeah, we just basically closed that project out.
Yeah, so the SBA would have the SBA will come, they come back every year to inspect the buildings and they'll look at everything that they, and that would, you just can't easily do things like that if it's school building authority funds, as simple as that might seem.
So if there's no price in here, for example, down at United, flooring, classroom hallways, paint,
It's included in the regular maintenance budget.
and the United High School, a new light under the canopy.
Maintenance will take care of the light and the canopy.
But the things that don't have any price, so Alex kind of incomplete, but you don't know what.
No, it's in the maintenance.
Well, we're gonna take care of it through the maintenance budget, not
It's
this
already part
budget.
of that. It's covered.
You gotta remember, part of the excess levy money, in 60, is for maintenance. So part of that maintenance budget comes in there as well.
Yeah, when you do the CEFP, there's a question there, are you keeping up with preventative maintenance in all the schools? And you have to attest that you're doing the best that you possibly can.
The excess levy allocation for the facilities, facilities maintaining improvement against construction projects is $4 million. This is 1.2 of that 4 million. Does that make a little bit more sense?
Yeah.
Okay. I know one of the other strange requests that I remember seeing there was somebody wanted their tote base replaced, but they didn't want the color.
Yeah. And you would do that as part of an internal renovation.
So the, a lot of health and safety requests.
Yeah.
All the members seeing in the past.
Yeah.
Health and safety requests.
Well, when you put health and safety, it makes it stand out a little bit more that, you know, needs to get done. I think one could probably argue a couple of those things that are on there, but that's what the principals put in there.
So the 21st, you'll have the budget for us, full book.
Hopefully I'll
So, and down the road, another year down the road, when this same thing comes out, I mean, will level off to where one school don't get everything they want every year? Or is it one of those deals?
Well, I don't think it's about being equitable in schools being equal. I think it's a matter of which ones are the oldest and which ones need the most help. You know, we've got Nutterford Elementary with those ceiling HVAC units, they need to be replaced. West Milford Elementary is another one, Lincoln High School, Bridgeport High School. I mean, there's a lot to be done here. If you guys would give me $20 million, I'd probably have it spent in 2 weeks. There's that much that needs to be done, and we're asking here for 1.282. And you know, you got to understand too that in the world that I come from, the facilities and maintenance, people know what they see. They walk into the building, they can see that it's clean. They eat food at a restaurant, they know if the food's good. If it's not raining, they don't know that roof's leaking. You know, if you're in your last leg with an HVAC system and it happens to be working that day, they don't care about that until it quits working, like here, and the roof starts leaking. Then it becomes a problem. So I told Dora one time that they're like big, dark, money-sucking holes, a lot of the stuff that we have to do with facility and maintenance, because nobody sees it.
So it's kind of things that should have been taken care of earlier.
Well, Doug, you can say that, but
I mean, some of these things could have been taken care of.
at every place I've ever been, the amount of deferred maintenance that's required, whether it be a private industry, whether it be West Virginia University, All the different schools, Potomac State University up in Kaiser, their deferred maintenance budget is out of this world. I mean, and if you compare it to other colleges and universities and other county school boards across the country, I think you'll probably find the same thing, that deferred maintenance is just a growing thing.
And these are items here that administrators are the ones asking. for.
Right. Things they
I
know.
mean, they're the ones that are in our building every day, so.
Well, I know, we used to ask in the past, and if you got one or two of the things that you asked for, you thought it was Christmas, you know.
Well, we're blessed that we're able to do what we can now.
This 1.282 is coming out of our new, in a sense, our new levy starting in 27. So, something, you know, they could have asked for this last year, and we wouldn't have had that amount of money left.
Right.
To be able to have done it. So this could be the first time that, or second time, or third time that they've asked for this, but the money's available now through the levy, because its new levy starts in 27.
And, you know, we hope to have some of that available right on through, every year, you know, to be able to spend on those things. But we do have also a maintenance budget where we look at other things, and then we have the certified facility plan that we go every year, and there's like 7 schools on there that we've ranked as some of our tops, plus the renovations that we're doing at Bridgeport High School.
I'm sure we got the list up from last year, look at it, compared to the two.
I have that list, and I have everything that looks like we completed on that list.
Yep. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why this is going to be different.
And you did turn down some projects. That were the ones that were approved.
You have all the fund balances for us as well.
Yeah, I was hoping to have an audit report. I have an official one, but paper copy, down copy, you should have been coming out, it should. You don't see the big box. I was afraid of with like 170 pages.
No, that's fine, that's fine. I understand, I just would like to know what they are.
Thank you, much better.
We're supposed to have this fixed in the morning.
We can survive for
First world problem.
When I went to school, they didn't have air conditioning.
Hold your little notebook paper up and fan.
We go to the funeral, they didn't have air. They don't provide it.
You said something about the consumable supplies and operating costs. What was the first thing you said about that? Spawn a
That
question.
includes everything from textbooks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, do we have any textbook adoptions coming up?
Yes, they're all everything we do.
But we're also looking at federal supplies. We need to get a better grip on how much we order on a regular basis. Because typically you can get it next day. So to have extra chemicals and inventory supplies on the shelf, it costs us money. We can wait until we really need it and get it in the next day. The same thing with our inventory of parts, the bus supply. Trying to get those guys to understand there's a lot of things we get same day delivery or next day delivery. We don't have to have 10 of those on the shelf when we get it the next day because that costs us money. We're working at that and just put the inventory back a little bit less than what it was last year. And we'll pull it again around May 1st and see where we sit.
questions, and then any other thoughts?
What's amazing though is the public don't realize, they keep saying, you know, you come out one week and you say you out, do everything you can to save money. You know, you're cutting things and doing this way. And then the next time, you know, it comes out that you're spending, you know, 1.2 million. Well, I thought you was trying to save money. But now you're, you know.
That's why.
So they don't understand,
That's why you stress.
There's gotta be a way that the job of the public.
So, maybe I can explain this. We use the excess levy as a perfect example. In the excess levy call, there are certain things that it's for. So like, think about a bucket. So I have a bucket that's for facilities, maintenance, repairs, and capital projects. Boom. That's the only thing that I can use the money in that bucket for. Then I have a bucket that's for instructional supplies and materials. The only thing we can use that money for is instructional supplies and materials. I have a bucket that's called child nutrition, that I can only use that to supplement child nutrition budget with. Cannot use it for any other purpose. We have these buckets, and those buckets are restricted for that purpose. An excess levy call is a legal binding contract with the taxpayers on how we can spend that money. Does that help?
Now, I think we had asked Mrs. Stotler too, like whenever possible, to let the community know that it's not like your family budget. So, you know,
It's not
family
really.
budget, you can rob Peter to pay Paul. We cannot do that. So we have some discretionary funds, but not enough to cover
And the
everything.
money in that bucket has to have a budget.
Yes, it does.
You
Yes,
have
it
to
does.
know what you're spending that money on, it's got the amount, but that's.
Does that help with the buckets?
Somebody asked me, like, I bet you don't even know where that money goes. I said, Ms. Hines can tell you where every penny is, and it's public record, just ask.
That's just, maybe in that bucket that says child nutrition, maybe we need to put more in it, because I had.
The excess levy call was done in 2024. It cannot be changed again until after this runs its course, which is 2031. That is set. That is $600,000 a year, and that goes in. We have to supplement the excess, we have to supplement child nutrition. 600,000 out of there, and then about 1.3, 1.4 million out of the general fund.
Because a couple of people asked me today, how come, you know, kids not getting fed, you know? And I said, that's not true. I said, every kid gets fed.
That would be a question for Mr. Gibson. I'm not involved that much.
If you want to listen, to Facebook, you can. I said, you know, because it's not true. I said, you know.
Well, especially if it's a high school kid, they have the ability to put or not put things on their tray. And if your child only chooses ketchup and french fries, that's on them. It's not that there wasn't food, if there was food they didn't want.
I have two questions.
Okay.
The purchased services for $1 million, that includes,
Payments to public charter school, out-of-state placements, the payments to United Technical Center that we have to make, that includes those. It includes any contracted repair services, maintenance agreements we have, like the elevator maintenance and pest control and grass mowing and all of those things.
and then the second one is the debt service payments. Where are we with some of the debt, retiring some of the debt?
You're paid off, I believe, in 9 years.
9 years.
That's all in that big book I've got for you.
Anybody want to go?
So you're using the contingencies.
So the contingency numbers, so the thing that's really inflating that contingency number is the permanent improvement fund. So I'm estimating that if we don't touch it for any of the capital projects, that we may have a ending fund balance of about $10 million in it. Because so all of that money sits in a contingency fund, sits in contingencies. So all the contingency money, 10 million of that is for permanent improvement. Which the only thing that can be used for are major capital projects. But the nice thing is we have it for match for SBA projects. We can't afford to do all the projects we need to have done without partnering with the SBA.
And that is a new thing,
But it's not anything new, no, but we wouldn't have, we would have wiped it, we would have had to pay for the Nutter Fort Simpson, that would have wiped out our permanent improvement project.
Yeah, the SBA's been very good to us over the last 2 years. I think that, he's done a lot of money. She's done a great job of building up our capital improvement fund as well. So we can use that money for capital improvements. We have all the buildings.
So please nobody think though that in my office I have all these little buckets of money, because they're not there.
When you talk about old buildings, I'm all glad we're in Harrison County, not some of these other counties. When you talk about old buildings, Burr, Lincoln, Bridgeport, all of these schools, you know, they're relatively, they look relatively new there.
We, in this lab, other than hard decisions, but we've really closed our old buildings, our old buildings.
The buildings look as good as they do because of the preventive maintenance. We stay out with, which is what we talked about from the funds or the requests.
and folks who work here.
And folks who work those buildings, absolutely. Keep those buildings nice. Okay. Thoughts, questions? One thought that sticks with me that I think it's very important to say and to repeat is that this budget is contingent upon the recommendations of the superintendent for the positions that she is recommending for this year.
Yes.
Okay, if that would change, can you give us an idea of what that would look like? How bad that would be?
Okay.
Okay. Just write it down and you bring it to us next time. Because that's,
We have several different scenarios.
you have several different scenarios, yes.
So,
That's right.
we don't sure we can do that.
But I just want it to be known that this budget is indicative of what the superintendent's recommendations are. Okay. Personnel recommendations.
I mean, we're some, Dr. Solomons from Taylor County, this is Hale as it goes. Like, we're going to have to do what they plan to do. More at a time.
Gotta work at it, gotta work at it, gotta work at it.
And you know, communicate at the same time.
There were no findings in the United Technical Center.
And there's no findings on ours. We even got the segregation of duties for the schools cleaned up.
It's great.
And I believe our unrestricted general fund balance is about 18. We'll use some of that this year because
Currently, it's 18.
at the end of 25, it was 18. But if you remember, we were 248 positions over for the current year. We said that we could carry it for 1 year. So that 100, about 150 in the excess levy is still 100 positions. 100 positions is about $9 million. So that 18 minus 9 gets me to about 9 million. To get the budget, this budget to balance, I need 11 million in the fund balance. Plus I need 5 million to make sure that we meet our contingency reserve. So we may not have appropriate reserves at the end of 2027.
That's,
Working on that.
so we'll need to definitely work together to figure out a way to address that. Thoughts, questions? Good.
Make sure we do find the medical allotment issue. There's several
The
other
Department, it's the
counties
Department of Labor
that
Code.
are dealing with the same thing.
Yeah.
It's all out of the
And I think they all started doing it around the same
same
time.
time. There's one county that's doing 500 and 500, and they're
I
doing
think
similar
that's
things.
Hancock.
They're working with Uriah
And-
on how to make it work.
Wait,
Different ideas.
wait for the employees to get that.
Oh, it's gonna be another one that's difficult. I mean, it's very difficult. I'm thinking of it, I mean, anybody that's an employee
And they're going to,
would be thinking of that, but
As a single parent, I shouldn't have done Christmas. I mean, but you could be disciplined enough to do Christmas club too. And so
If you,
know
if you
how
take
much
it out,
money's coming.
yes, if you take it out, if you put it set aside, of course, the other thing about that is, it's not $83, I think, paycheck for a month. And so if you put it, if you set it aside, you set money aside in your Christmas club every paycheck, you're not gonna actually notice it.
If you do direct deposit, I mean, I trained
Yes.
myself to get paid off 10 months, which was very scary as a single parent.
Oh, yeah, that was,
That first year was scary, but I did it, and I did it for a year. March.
That's what we have.
so the first year here, it would be the roughest on the employees because it would start July 1 and to have their money saved up for Christmas may be difficult, even if they opened up a Christmas club.
Like a double payment and catch up.
Mr. Oak, you asked about food, nutrition. I think the way we have it set up is part of the money comes out of the levy, correct?
Take the levy money first and then the rest of it comes out of the general fund.
It's split, so if we eliminate certain things, it balances it out.
I believe, Mr. Gibson, I think this last year we've shown some
He
increase. He's made us some money.
He has increased participation and he's been able to reduce the overall food cost.
That's good.
If we had not been closed the whole month of January, it
we
would
have
have
that.
been helpful on the bill counts.
But I don't know of a child nutrition
Every time we close, it affects
program.
our bill counts. so-
Yeah, I don't know of a child nutrition program that doesn't have to have any kind of supplements in it.
Yeah.
And we can't get too hung up on the amount of things we have to put in from the general fund to the child nutrition program because those cooks and cook managers that are in the child nutrition program, they actually qualify for state aid funding. So we're getting the state aid funding in the general fund for those positions. So basically what we're doing is take it and then we're giving it over there.
And I got a question that, he's not here that long. Are all of our kitchens air conditioned?
A lot of big fans, a lot of big fans. Well, I think so. Probably less than air conditioning than are. Our new buildings.
That'd be a good question, Mr.
Our
Gibson.
new buildings are, but newer buildings
I've been working Bible camp kitchens for several years, and it's miserable. It is miserable.
We got our gyms. Got our gyms in condition. finally?
Yeah, that went to 50 years.
All right, no further thoughts, questions, comments? Then,
This one,
well, I don't think we can discuss it, it's not on the agenda. I think from an informational standpoint, this is what we have. If you would like to put it on the next agenda to discuss, that would be something we that brings us down to property.
I move pursuant to 69849 of West Virginia Code that the board go into executive session to consider matters involving or affecting the purchase, sale, or lease of property, advanced construction planning, the investment of public funds, or other matters involving commercial competition, and if made public might adversely affect the financial or other interests of the Harrison County Board of Education.
There's been a motion for property, been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Executive session? No.
I so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next down, board member comments, Mr. Tucker.
Been nice to have folks here again tonight. Hopefully, a bunch of you are watching.
Mr. Hood?
No, I have no comments.
Dr. Singleton?
Just want the public to know we're doing the very best we can.
Ms. Smith?
I don't have anything, just somebody pray for us.
I don't have anything either. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.